Where my girls at? Where my girls at? Independent, free spirit. Ooh, it's something serious. Where my girls at? We linked up in a cool minute. Where my girls at? It's going down, down. Where my girls at? It's going down, down. It's going out tonight. We going out tonight. Yeah, right. We going out tonight. It's going out tonight. Yeah, right. It's going out tonight. We going out tonight. Yeah, right. We going out tonight. It's going out tonight. Yeah, right.
Where my girls at?
We link up in a cool minute. Where my girls at? Where my girls at? Yes, don't you touch that station because you are tuned in. We got the 10 super. It is Black radio station right in Detroit, but is heard all over the world. And we are excited to be with you on today. Can you believe, you guys, today, next month will be 1 year that we have been coming to you each and every day. Woo, woo, woo. Jalen, go ahead. Give us a big round of applause. It ain't a year, but we need a hand. Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, we love applause. We absolutely love recognition. I'm sorry. That's just who we be. But again, we're excited to be here. I'm so excited to see my girlfriends, Caterina Harris Earl, our girl on the West Coast. And we have Sabrina Goodwin Monday from Geneva on the Lake, Ohio. We don't
Also
have
known as the North Pole.
The North Pole, that's right.
Yes.
We don't have perfect attendance on today. We are absolutely, I know you guys are missing our girl, Gloria Mayfield Banks. She is on a very well-needed vacation out of the country, soaking up some sun with her husband, Ken, and we know that they are having an amazing time. Trust me, she has FOMO for real. Fear of missing out, but that's okay. She absolutely deserves it. So wherever you are, Gloria, I don't know if she's even listening in. We absolutely miss her, but you guys, she will be back. They're shaking their hands. She ain't listening. She will be back next week. And so, of course, we are absolutely missing her. Well, we're excited. We have another great show for you on today. When I tell you yesterday's show was so much fun. And let me just take this time to say thank you to so many of you who reached out, whether you DM'd me or Sabrina or Caterina and sent me some pillow ideas. We talked about that offline. I need to find a good, firm, hard pillow. I don't like my head to just melt into the pillow. I need a firm pillow. And so many of you were so gracious to send me some information about where I can find a good pillow. So I did not want to miss thanking you guys for being so kind, for being so gracious and giving me some ideas. So you better know my fingers are going straight to Amazon to order that. And I will come back and let you know if you hit the mark or you missed the mark. But one thing about Amazon, I can always send it back. That's
even
why
if you sleep on it.
Love me some Amazon, you guys. So yesterday was such a fun day talking about technology, and so many of you were engaging and telling us, you know, what you do, how you order and all that. So I know Caterina is coming back on tomorrow for part 2. But today, you guys, We normally talk a little bit about what's in the news. And of course, we know it's February. So it's Black History Month. Come on, Jalen, let's give a big round of applause for Black History Month. Wow, this is a month. And of course, we know that we need, look at Sabrina being extra. We need to celebrate Black history each and every day. And so we want you, those of you that are watching us on either the 910 Facebook page or the Force of Friendship Facebook page, just put in the chat, who is one of your icons, one of the people that you just love during Black History Month? You know, we want to meet some other people. I know we have the ones that everybody knows about, but you know what? In our culture, we have some phenomenal individuals that did phenomenal things that sometimes they're not heard or talked a lot about like some of the other ones. We all know Madam C.J. Walker, right? That is one that I know I've done several reports growing up as a young Black child in the Detroit public schools. She was one of the ones that I always did a book report on. So we want you to put it in the chat, some of your Black history individuals that you absolutely love, and maybe we'll try to come and share a little bit of Black history during this month of February. Well, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and bring on our guest because we want to take this full hour, as much of it as we can, to chat with our guest on today. And we are so excited to have the former mayor of Detroit, the one and only Mr. Kwame Kilpatrick. So let me tell you, and we're going to bring him to the stage, and let me just tell you a little bit about him. Kwame Kilpatrick, he is a native of Detroit. He attended Cass Technical High School. I went to Renaissance. I'm not going to hold that against him. He holds a Bachelor's of Science degree in political science from Florida A&M University and a Juris Doctor degree from Detroit College of Law. He served in the Michigan House of Representatives from 1996 to 2001 and was elected Minority Leader, the first Black person to do so. Then at the ripe young age of 31, he was elected as the youngest mayor of Detroit in January of 2002. Then in September of 2008, he resigned after being convicted of perjury and obstruction of justice. In May of 2010, Kilpatrick was sentenced to 18 months to 5 years in state prison for violating his probation. In March of 2013, he was convicted on 24 felony charges and sentenced to 28 years in federal prison. Somebody say, but God. It is more than 20 years since Kwame Kilpatrick was sworn in as Detroit's youngest mayor, and after serving 7 years of his 28th sentence in January of 2021, President Donald Trump commuted his sentence. Now, a lot has transpired since his rise to political power and his serving 7 years in prison. His story is one that was covered locally and nationally. And today we're excited to have Mr. Kilpatrick on We Got Issues to catch up on what he's been doing since his release over a year ago. So again, let's give Kwame Kilpatrick, the former mayor of Detroit, another big round of applause for being on We Got Issues.
Thank you. All right.
One of the folks that God touched in the worst moments in my life, from a concrete floor in a solitary confinement cell. He provoked me to trust. He gave me the faith to choose. And I need those doubters because I want them to be the very people that can absolutely see the transformation. It was the authentic relationship that came with Jesus Christ in the most unfamiliar place, the inner part of the prison. And I want them to keep watching because I believe they will see the reflective light of God.
What?
Whoa, yes. Well, welcome to We Got Issues. Elder Kwame Kilpatrick, I should say. How you doing, my brother? How you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm doing so good, Crisette. How are you?
I am doing well. We're excited to have you on the show just to catch up, to see what's going on. You have a lot going on. And, you know, during Black History Month, this is the perfect time to catch up with the youngest mayor of Detroit. So we're going to just go right into before our first break. So tell us a little bit. I know a lot of people don't know everything about your background. I know, first of all, let me ask, how's your family doing? How's everybody doing?
Everybody's doing well. My dad is still walking 2-3 miles a day. He was running around doing something. My mother, she's having some health challenges, but you know, God is faithful. My wife is good. My sons are well. My new son you met earlier when we were backstage,
Yes.
Lathan, and I have a son on the way. So life is good. You know, I'm living abundantly. I told everybody when I left that place, I said, when I get out of here now, I'm living abundantly. I'm starting this thing all the way over. So, and we're doing that. And we've launched a ministry now. And so I'm living and really enjoying life really for the first time since before I was mayor of Detroit. So this has been a real refreshing transformation that's taken more than 20 years to happen.
And you know what? That's so awesome. In your story, I mean, everybody loves a good redemption story. And we know life, you have the beginning, the middle, and the end. And, you know, one of the things we say all the time, it's never where you start, it's always where you finish. But you know what? I read something about you that I did not know. I was reading and it said that when you were, ever since you were 10 years old, you wanted to become the mayor of Detroit. And I read that and I was like, wow, at 10 years old. Tell us a little bit about that.
I went to Fairbanks Elementary School, Detroit Public Schools, right there on the John C. Lodge in Seward. So that, you know, I heard Detroit shouted out. I heard Ohio and I heard West Coast. I had to do a little Detroit shout. But at that school, they had this Black Studies contest. And I ended up winning the contest at the school. And then I went to the region to you remember back then they had regions, Region 8, Region 1, Region 2. And I went and won the contest there. And the winner got a chance to meet Coleman Alexander Young, who was the mayor of Detroit at that time. And I was 10 years old. And we went to the Manugian Mansion, my mother and I, and we walked in the door and he was just standing there to meet all the kids. You know, the kids are in the line. It was like 8 of us. And, you know, that meeting for me, I mean, it was probably about 30 seconds, but for me, it was life-changing. That was just because the mayor looked at me. He said, "Hey, big fella." And I said, "Hey, Mr. Mayor." And I shook his hand. I had my head down. He said, "Put your head up." He said, "One day, you know, you could be anything you want to be. You could even be mayor." And I said, "Yeah, you know what? That's exactly." I left out of that and I started telling everybody that from 10 years old on, I'm talking about family picnics, holidays, gatherings, high school. You know, I'm gonna either be an NFL player or mayor of the city of Detroit. So that was the dream for me. I didn't want to be president. I didn't want to be governor. I wanted to be mayor of Detroit.
Wow. Now, you know, you're talking about vision. I mean, it's just amazing when I hear stories of individuals that knew early on in their life what they wanted to do. And I mean, sometimes you'll hear that if the parent was a doctor or a lawyer and they just want to grow up and follow in their parents' footsteps. Now, of course, we know that you're from a political family. Your mom was Congresswoman Carolyn Cheeks Kilpatrick. We were always so proud of her being a native from Detroit. So I know you had that in your family, but to win that contest and to be to set your sights at 10 years old to talk about, you know, being the mayor of Detroit. I mean, that is so powerful. And we always talk about the power of vision, the power of our words. And lo and behold, you became the very first, I mean, well, I shouldn't say the first, but you became the youngest mayor of the city of Detroit. So that's really, really powerful. So when you think back over the time, and we just have about a minute or so before we go to break, but when you think back over the time that you were mayor, can you start to tell us some of the things that you're most proud of? And then we'll go to the break, and when we come back, I'm gonna have you talk about some of the things that you were proud of that you were able to accomplish during your time as mayor.
You know, there's several. There are things on the economic development side, of course. You know, they were talking about a bridge-to-bridge development on the riverfront for 30 years. We did it in 5. Detroit hadn't built a hotel since 1989, the Athenaeum. We built 7 hotels in 5 years. The events we hosted, the Super Bowl, the Major League Baseball All-Star Game, Bowlers Tour, G8 Summits, all those different things were great. But I'm proud of things like Herman Gardens, where we took an old project and built a whole new place for people that we did what we said we would do.
Kwame,
I think that
Kwame, I want you to hold that thought. The music is playing, which means we got to go pay some bills. So we're going to come back and want you to continue to tell us some of the things that you have done during your administration. You guys, you are tuned into We Got Issues on 9:10 a.m. the Superstation. We're talking with the former mayor of Detroit, the one and only Kwame Kilpatrick. We'll be right back after this break.
This is Sabrina Goodwin Monday, the friendship. You better know it's not just a lucky day. It's
I'm about to go back home.
Look, Rakita will text me. It's on Facebook too.
She said what?
It's on Facebook too.
All right, we're coming back. We are coming back. You are listening to We Got Issues with the Force of Friendship on 9:10 a.m. the Superstation. And we are so excited about our guest that is with us on today. It is the former mayor, the youngest mayor of the city of Detroit, the one and only Kwame Kilpatrick is with us. Yes. And we're
You
so
keep
excited
saying young.
to
You keep
see
saying
that.
young, Crisette, and everybody looking at all this gray hair. You can't, you can't,
That's all right. That's all right. That's the way the young men are doing it. That's the way the young men are
That's
doing
how
it.
we, yeah,
Okay. That just
yeah,
shows the maturity. How about that? The maturity.
absolutely.
Okay.
Little wisdom in there too. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So prior to the break, you were just telling us about some of the things that you were most proud of during your administration. And of course, oh my goodness, I was absolutely able to attend the Super Bowl in Detroit. When I tell you that was a highlight. I mean, it was crazy. And I'm not now, Sabrina, my girlfriend, she all up in football. She's from a family of wrestlers. Her husband
Oh
is
yeah.
the
Ohio.
first and the only wrestler, gold medalist in wrestling. So they all
Wow.
up. Yes, they all up in
Wow.
football and all that. And so let me just tell you, when I go to football games, when my husband get excited, that lets me know to get excited. When he jump up, I jump up.
You look, oh yeah.
That's how I do football.
Yeah. Like coming to America. It was in the face, right? It was in the face.
Right, exactly. So tell us just a few other things that you've done, and then I know I'm going to turn it over to Sabrina. She has some questions she want to ask.
Let me say that thing that I'm most proud of is that people from Gratiot to Grand River, from 7 Mile to Dexter, they had access to their government. They felt like whether they loved Kwame, hate Kwame, wanted to talk about me, good or bad, they felt connected to downtown Detroit. And it was the first time that I'd seen that since the Coleman Young era, where people all felt connected to what was going on in the city. So we were able to build more housing than anybody else. We were able to fix more streets than anybody else. And, you don't hear much about my work. People talk about old Kwame, but not the work that we did. So I'm proud of that work. And I think it served as the foundation or the infrastructure of what's happening in Detroit right now. So hats off to both Dennis Archer, who was before me, and also to Mike Duggan, who's come in after. I think that all of those guys work together to build the footprint and the foundation of what's happening in Detroit now. And I ride through the city, and I'm just, I applaud that it's coming back. There's a hint of hope, and I just love that.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness. I'm telling you, I am so proud of our city. We were just downtown at, so many restaurants are there. We were at one of the really park restaurant, and then we went over to the Opera House to see the Lion King. And I mean, just sitting there and watching them ice skate and looking at the lights, I'm telling you, my heart was just filled with joy of being a Detroiter. So absolutely, don't count Detroit out. You can never count us out. Before we go to Sabrina, we do have a caller. Grace, are you there?
And Mr. Kilpatrick there. I have just a few questions here. Your legacy. What would you want everybody to remember you by? Just if you had an opportunity to put a statement out there, and this is what you want your legacy to be, for people to remember you, what would that be? And I have another question just before you answer that one. And you spoke about the city of Detroit. I don't know if you guys were talking about back then when you talked about the Super Bowl, and actually my father and I did go to that Super Bowl. It was something rewarding for the city that he embraced, that we shared together. It was something. It was absolutely something, and it was rewarding because it was an African-American city. And it was special. It was special. It was special that day for me. It was just something that was earth-moving. And my father just really enjoyed it. And thank you for bringing that. I'm going to put it out there. My father said it back then, too. And that was orchestrated by you. When you spoke about just recently in the city of Detroit, and it's coming back, or there's hope. I think I don't want to misquote you when you talk about hope. I have to disagree. Downtown is a complete different place from what is out in the community. the individuals, the residents, constituents are suffering still. And I can't say the hope is there because the residents, and they're speaking about it on a regular basis, how it is in their neighborhoods. We can put new sidewalks in front of a place where the house is ready to fall over and it's up by a kickstand. I don't call that hope. I call that's a project coming and they're planning something. And when they're fixing sidewalks in front of vacant lots, that's planning something. Then the house across the street, and Miss Jenkins is 88 years old, and she can't get a grant to fix her porch or put windows in her house because grants have been changed into loans. And then they're not addressing that issue with the cracks and the sidewalks are bad in front of her house. So I have to disagree about the hope statement. I think Duggan is doing a horrific job of addressing the issues when it comes to the people. We don't need crumbs. We need a whole plate of food because you cannot issue stuff out like that and think that we're going to continue. And I know they keep on electing him, and I just don't figure out why. That was rhetorical. I actually know why, and I have an opinion. But it's not even necessary at this particular point. It's about you. But I would have not even brought this up if you would have not just made that last statement about hope. The city is in distress. It really, really is.
Yeah.
But I think,
Okay, great. Okay,
yeah.
thank you. Go ahead.
I think, oh, okay, you unmuted me. Well, first she asked about legacy first. I'll take that second. The thing she talked about the issues within the city, and particularly the issues within some neighborhoods in the city and the people there, those are city issues. I'm not in the city. I haven't lived in the city of Detroit since October of 2008. The city was very clear about me leaving. The same folk that are up in arms about Duggan, a lot of them same people were up in arms about getting me up out of there. And so, I've accepted the terms of divorce. And, it's a hard pill to swallow sometimes for a lot of people, but I have. And when I come to Detroit, I'm literally a visitor. And so those issues that you're talking about, you really in the city have to work with those issues without Kwame Kilpatrick. I don't really want to weigh in or out of that, but I know that if there's hope for somebody, there's somebody that's still suffering. I'm not ignorant at all to that fact. There's suffering going on in all places, and God has me in a position where I don't believe that the answer to that suffering is political or who's mayor or who's not. I think the answer is a matter of the heart. And it's a matter of a lot of people mobilizing to create a revolution inside the hearts of mankind. So people will fix Miss Jenkins' porch just because they can and they want to. It's not a thing that we got to call downtown for everything. And those are the kind of communities that survive. All of these cities that have the rankings on the best cities to live in, they're not that because they have a whole lot of money. They're that because people are figuring out how to draw together and come together and make things happen in the city. And I just hope that Grace and others would experience that unified heart issue or heart campaign or revolution in the spirit, where then you will see that type of transformation. I think you mentioned what I think my legacy is. When I came outside of all the media storm that I believe that a lot of Detroiters just bought into, there was a significant connection between downtown and the neighborhoods. Miss Jenkins knew she can call my office. Miss Jenkins knew that somebody was going to come over to her house. That's the major difference. Miss Jenkins knew my mama and my aunt. Miss Jenkins knew some people I went to school with. Miss Jenkins knew the legacy is that's actually different now. Is after I left, you didn't have that anymore, and you really don't know what you got until it's gone. And so you're experiencing a transition now. And transition sometimes is hard for everybody. It's hard for some, it's more difficult for some than it is for others. But I think that's a legacy that without the economics, without the bad press, the good press, is that people felt that this was their city and we together can lift up this city and move forward together. And I just think that's a legacy. I don't want anything more or less. Whatever people want to think, they're free to do that. I'm more concerned in the kingdom of God where he has me, what is my life going to be like and my legacy going to be from this point forward? And that's so important for me. And I know so many people in Detroit, it's hard to make that pivot because the last time you saw me was in 2008 and 2012. And, it's been 10 years since y'all seen me. But that 10 years while y'all was talking about me, I was learning from God. And so my life has changed and transformed, and my conversations and attitudes and thoughts have too. But I pray for the city nearly every day and pray for the citizens' hearts in that city to be turned towards God.
Wow. That is a great place to take our next break. We have several callers. We have Daryl Woods, we have Larry, and we have Lisa on the line. We want you guys to stay put. Everybody want to talk to Mr. Kwame Kilpatrick, but we got to pay some bills. So we're going to go to our break. When we come back, we're going to talk to Daryl. We'll get you Larry and Lisa, so stay on the line. You're listening to We Got Issues with the Force of Friendship. We'll be right back.
Amen.
All right, we're back. You're listening to We Got Issues with the Force of Friendship, and we're excited to have our guest with us today, the former mayor of Detroit, Mr. Kwame Kilpatrick. And we have, yes. Thank you, Jalen, for that round of applause. We have several guests that are on the line. We're going to go to Daryl, and then we're going to go to Sabrina. I know she has some questions.
Y'all ain't gonna let
if you
Sabrina
don't mind,
talk.
we hope that you will hold on, and we want to get as many of you in as possible. So Daryl, you on with us?
Absolutely. What a powerful show. I am so blessed and honored to be listening in to my good friend and my brother, Kwame Kilpatrick. This brother, we go back a long way. When he was a state rep and I was sitting in a prison cell and he was fighting for laws that be able to help free people. He came into prison as a state representative and was able to champion the cause. He walked my mentor out, Dan Sekou Nelson, out of prison in 2003, who was condemned to life without the possibility of parole in there under a crime that was abolished in 1980, and they said it was an unconstitutional law. Kwame walked him out of prison. Kwame continued to work with us as mayor when he became mayor, and he didn't just give up when he was the state rep. As mayor, he came in and engaged us. He engaged my son personally. My son, who was going to high school, going to his football games and doing things like that. So this is a man of principle. And this now to see the born again, Holy Ghost filled, fire baptized Kwame Kilpatrick. I'll be listening to him every week, and you can just hear the voice of God coming through this brother. And so I am deeply blessed to have this full circle moment. He was commuted by Donald John Trump. I was commuted by Richard Snyder. You know, two Republicans, two people that the world hated. God used to deliver both of us out of a prison cell. He did. He was sentenced to 28 years. I served 28 years.
Wow.
So thank God for this powerful moment. I love you, First Lady. And I love this team for all that you do to try to bring so much love and truth into the world. And I just purchased two of his books too. They are hot on the press, and I'm going to purchase a couple more. Do you want one, First Lady? I'll buy you up for you too.
Oh, thank you very much, because we absolutely want to hear about that. We want to hear about your book, what's in the book. Daryl, thank you so much for calling in and giving a shout out to your friend. You know that you're very special to our show. Your story, I keep saying, it is made for television. I mean, if I get
together, we need to produce that, because your story is just so compelling, and so we appreciate you. We love you, and thank you so much again for calling in. Bless you. All right. I know we have several other callers, but I want to get to the girlfriends, because they have been so excited that you were going to be with us. And so I'm going to kick it over to Sabrina.
Oh my goodness. Thank you, First Lady. Kwame. Welcome to We Got Issues.
What up, though?
Oh my goodness. Yes. You know, when your story broke so many years ago, I was living in Dallas, Texas. And I was intrigued so much by you being the youngest mayor, wondering how you got yourself into this situation. I would just always have so many questions, and now to sit across from you and to be able to ask you these questions means a lot. So thank you for giving us this opportunity. Tell us a little bit about, because we're talking from power to prison to preaching. That's what we're talking about. So let's spend a little bit of time about the prison piece. When you found out that you were being sentenced to 28 years, what was your first thought? How did you prepare yourself to go into that jail cell? What was possibly your greatest lesson while you were there?
I just want to say one thing before I answer that directly. I don't think that it was power to prison. I think it was politics to prison. And I think the real power is now. Politicians are basically managers. I don't care what position they're in. The irony of our democracy is that there's, it's that many rule in a democracy, but the irony of our democracy is just a few people making decisions for everybody else. And politics are kind of like managers. And so it really wasn't power. It was a position. Going into that, when the judge sentenced me to 28 years, and I did have one other person that I ran to that experienced this as well. I was having what most would call an outer body experience. I was not there. I had to keep myself from smiling. I really didn't have any weight or profundity of the moment. It was like I felt something rubbing down my head, rubbing down my shoulders, rubbing like a liquid, but no liquid was there. And literally, and I'm not being super spiritual, but it's the first time I'd ever experienced anything like it. I had to keep myself from feeling light and happy and joyful. And I heard her saying the words, but none of them were penetrating my soul. I mean, it was weird. It was peculiar. It was unique. And when she was finished and I had to leave, the only thing I can say out of my mouth was no doubt, no fear. I don't even know to this day where that came from, except from the Spirit of God, who I didn't believe I knew. I definitely didn't know him intimately. I thought I didn't know him at all until I met him. And so later on, I learned that I was just being kept by the absolute power of the Spirit of God. And so I don't even have a real recollection of the heaviness or profundity of that moment. I do, however, once I got to Milan and got in the cell, and that smell and that closing of the door said, oh my God, what just happened? But I was being kept from the courtroom till I walked in that cell. And by the time I got to Oklahoma and I had to start my bid, I was full-fledged depressed. And I was depressed for a year and a half. I didn't like nobody. I didn't like Sabrina, Caterina. I didn't like Crisette. I didn't like Bishop Ellis. I didn't like none of y'all. No, if you was outside of that cell, I despised you. And so it was a depression that was, I was just misery. And what I learned, because in that first year and a half, before I stumbled into that chapel, got on my knees and gave my life to Jesus, before that, I learned that your situation is temporary, no matter how long it seems you've been in it. And no matter how long somebody's reporting, you're going to be in it. It's all temporary. It's this light affliction for a temporary time. And so I didn't know that until I learned how to not examine it while I was going through it, and to look back on it and say, wow, that was not long. You can endure it. So I can preach it better than I could. I can preach it now better than I could in it. And so I learned that now I can gain and glean wisdom from that moment. And I've learned that you got to really learn why you're there. Accept that you're there, learn why you're there, and try to develop the attitude that God needs you to develop to get out of there.
Very good. Interesting. Well, you know, it's interesting you say that it's really not power. Politicians don't have power. Donald Trump had the power to pardon you.
Yes,
that's power, right?
Yes.
And so, so that's some power. How did that come about? And the pardon process, are you totally free now? Are you under supervised probation? Tell us a little bit about what that pardon entails.
Well, I didn't get a pardon. A pardon is different. There are two types of executive powers that the president has. He has pardon power and he has commutation power. In the pardon power, if you get a pardon, it erases. It's like it's never happened. It's like what preachers tell you happened when you receive the Spirit of God and walk in that. It never happened. No more condemnation. Well, that's not a commutation. That's a pardon. I received a commutation. What he did is commuted the prison part of my sentence. So I no longer have 28 years to serve in prison. I'm out of the prison, but I'm still on a form of supervised release. When I say a form, I'm on supervised release, but I don't really have any stipulations. I don't have any drug history, alcohol history, violence history. So there's not a lot of stuff I have to do on this side, but I do have a person that is, supervising me on this side for a period of 3 years. So that's 2 more years left on that. And so that's where I am now. All of this, and you talked about Donald Trump. I got to say this. I didn't know Donald Trump. I've never met Donald Trump. I think somebody said, like, when Michael Jackson and Don Barton came into the city to try to get a casino, Donald Trump was with them, and I was at a function. I may have shaken his hand. I don't remember that. And of course, I didn't know him. I had no contact with him after that. When I talked to Jared Kushner, his son-in-law, about 10 days after I was out. Maybe it was even 7 days after I was out. We had a wonderful conversation. I thanked him immensely. His office, along with his executive assistant, Jerron Smith, who's a Black guy. He's a brother. He was working there advocating for me. And he said, our hearts were turned towards you. When I asked him, what was it? What our hearts were. Proverbs 21:1 says, the heart of the king is in the hand of the Lord. And like the rivers of water, he could turn it whichever way he pleases. I was praying that prayer in a solitary confinement cell for days. And so the last part of my sentence in prison, I was in isolation. And so for a couple 100 days, I was in isolation. And it was time for God to just get me right to be able to come out here and be who he told me to be. And so when I was praying that prayer, to hear that confirmation from Jared Kushner, somebody I've never met, somebody I've never had a conversation with before that day, I know that people were working on my behalf, but God was placing in the hearts of people like Craig DeRoche, the former Speaker of the House in Michigan, Pete Carmanos, Alice Johnson, all of these people, and Alice Johnson, and I never met before.
Kwame, hold that. I mean, when I tell you we are so lean in, we want you to finish that. We're going to go to our final break, and then we come back. We're going to let you finish that. And then, Larry, if you're still there, hold on. We're going to take your call right after Kwame finishes his statement about being released, and then we'll go to you, Larry. So we're going to take this break. You're listening to We Got Issues on 9:10 a.m. The Superstation. We'll be right back.
Amen. Hours yet. It's be about 20 minutes.
Okay, we're coming back. We are coming back. I don't know about you, but I have been enjoying this time with Mr. Kwame Kilpatrick. Oh my goodness, such a compelling story. Kwame, have you finished what you were speaking on? I think Sabrina has one more question. Then we're going to go to Lisa and then to Caterina. Kwame.
Just so being in that condition where you have to, completely rely on God. And people always ask me, what do you think about Donald Trump? I don't believe that there's a greater ministry anybody can give anybody than setting them free. And so I'm thankful to God for using Donald Trump. Whoever he used to get me out of that cell, I'm thank you. And I'm hopeful one day I can shake him in the hand, look him in the eye and tell him so. And so I know the power of God. And so I know in that last 225 days that I was in prison, God was making sure that I understood that he didn't need me to free me. He didn't need my help, and he can do anything. And so that's what that was all about. It wasn't about relationship. It wasn't about politics. It was really about real power, Sabrina. And that's what you talked about. Real power at work with the power of this country.
Amazing testimony, amazing story, so much hope, so much courage, so much grace given. Thank you, Kwame. With your sentence, are you eligible to vote now, or will you be able to vote in 2 years with your commutation?
It's state by state. In some states you are, in some states you're not. You can vote on parole and probation in a lot of states. In Georgia, where I live, you cannot. You can register in some counties and they let you. It's really unclear. So, in Michigan, you can. In your state, you can. In the West Coast, everywhere. That's the most liberal place on planet Earth. Whether you're in Oregon, Washington, or California, you can vote probably at the jail. So,
okay.
So, right now,
Trump is talking about coming back. Yeah, Trump is talking about coming back in a couple years. Is he your guy? Would he get your vote?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
You say coming back to be in politics? Oh, absolutely not. No. Y'all, I give. I got it. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Next. Somebody else. Go to Kwame. Somebody else.
Okay. Real quickly, we're going to go to a caller, and then we're going to go to Kat. Lisa, are you on the line? Lisa, you there? Okay. Yes, we can.
Yes,
Thank you for calling. You got issues.
Absolutely. First of all, I just want to say hi to Sabrina, to Caterina. Love you ladies so very much. I have you guys on the big TV in my living room, and I'm enjoying you guys. Mom is, my daughter is, First Lady. Always so good to see your beautiful faces. And what a rich conversation. What a rich conversation. Mr. Kilpatrick, let me just tell you, I have always admired you, loved your story, loved watching you from afar. Of course, my heart got broken, but I've just been so excited to see your bounce back. And so my question is just a simple one. What drew you into that situation and what pulled you out? Because there are people that have a bounce back story, but they don't truly bounce back because they've stayed in the situation that they were in. But clearly something has brought you back, and we can sense the rejuvenation, the excitement, the perspective that you have. So I'd just love to know what drew you in that, and then what pulled you out.
What drew me in was me. It wasn't the devil. It wasn't it wasn't some outside force. It wasn't the news media. It was Kwame Malik Kilpatrick. I didn't know that the Bible, when it talks about the heart, it says that it's desperately wicked, deceitful above all things. And I didn't know that. I didn't know that was in or even capable of being in my heart. And it really had to be revealed to me, because in our neighborhoods and in our community, some things are just socially acceptable. It's acceptable that men are going to mess around. That ain't no big deal. But when the Bible says do not commit adultery, we think he's trying to kill our joy. We think he's trying to kill our buzz. And so that had to be learned by me in my innermost parts. And so I didn't know it. So it was all me, all my own sin. the gifts I had, the anointing. I still don't believe that anybody can understand the diversity of economic base of Detroit better than me or the appropriations process. But my gifts took me to a place where my character and integrity wasn't ready to be. It had not developed at the same tenacity as my business and political acumen. So that was me. But what drew me out was the power of God, a final and absolute decision to surrender to him. I stopped filing stuff. I filed to the courts, to the appellate court. When the Supreme Court said, no, you're supposed to file all your habeas. The Lord told me no. Now, you get a word from the Lord when everybody think you crazy. And so I just stopped. I said, I can't file. And even my co-defendant at the time, Bobby Ferguson, he said, man, we got to do this. And I said, man, the Lord told me to stop. And I just fully focused on him. I stopped going to the computer. I stopped being in the library every day. I wasn't giving up. I actually was running the race that he told me to run. For the first time in my life, I could hear him, and I could also have made the decision to be obedient. And so what pulled me out is him. And he wanted to show me that the most unlikely president at the most unlikely time. You got to understand that on January the 6th, Fred Bradley, I'm giving him a shout out. He was the orderly in the isolation unit. Remember, I couldn't see no news. I couldn't see nothing. I couldn't make no phone calls, couldn't get on the computer. He came to my cell and told me this. He said, they're going crazy at the Capitol. They going crazy, man. They done tore up the Capitol. They tore out the windows and everything. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Now, if y'all can imagine, if you're in isolation and can't see it, and somebody told you this, I was like, man, you lying. No, man, they in there with Pelosi and them be. I said, no, man, come on. And he said, listen, and the president is resigning. I said, wait a minute, hold on. I got real shit. Hold on. Now, I have a word that I'm getting out of here. I know I'm getting out of here. The Lord told me I'm getting out of here in the 7th year. And I told my sons that from the 3rd year. So, and this got to happen. So I'm getting nervous. But he told me to calm down, sit down, shut up. And for the last few days, in the 11th hour, let me just say this. I found out at 1 a.m., the night or morning of the 20th, night of the 19th, 1 a.m., the officer came around, opened the door and said, Kilpatrick, you got a commutation. You getting out of here. That is exactly 11 hours before Trump left office. In the 11th hour, I got free.
Wow.
Kwame, you know what? It was so much that we did not get a chance to talk about. You got a new book that's coming out. You have a new bride. You have a new baby. So listen, will you promise us that you will come back for part 2?
I got questions.
Yes.
I promise.
I will.
And we didn't even get to poor Caterina. We didn't get a chance for her to jump in. So this time went by so fast. Katrina. But again, we will have part 2. I promise you we will. Thank you so much, Kwame, for joining us on Crisette? Today. This has been such, yes.
One thing. I just want people, all of this I'm talking about, it's in Off the Grid. The book is available right now on Amazon. Y'all go get it. You can live with me in that sale. You can live with me going through this, the pain and anguish and everything else. Off the Grid, the journey back to destiny.
I'm getting
Off the Grid. And you know what? We will post it on our Facebook, on our Instagram, so you all will know where to get Off the Grid. Absolutely. Again, thank you so much for your time. You guys, this has been just an amazing conversation. So rich. We will absolutely try to get them back for part 2. You guys have been listening. We Got Issues on 9:10 a.m. The Superstation with the Force of Friendship. You guys have a wonderful, wonderful evening, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Ciao. Woo.
He hit the button. He gone.
Did you guys want to do real quick? Do we have time? Katrina can't. I don't know how to get on live. I'll try. I'll go with you. Okay. We didn't tell the people though. We didn't tell them we were going live.
That's okay. They'll come on if we could. So I'm going to see if I can get him on so he can talk about his book.
Okay. Yeah, I'm about to talk to an attorney who's going to come on the show.
Okay, hold on. Let me see if I can get him. So wait a minute. So we need to go. Hey, Katrina, even if you can't get on, should I go on Force of Friendship?
Yeah,
Instagram.
Just log in as Force of Friendship. I mean, you're already there.
Kwame, if he's not if he's following me, he'll see it.
No, he won't. He would have to be following Force of Friendship. You know, he has to go to Force of Friendship and click the live, just like you would.
But he has to follow us first, right?
I don't know if I don't think you have to follow anybody to click their live. I think he has to go look for it. You know what I'm saying? He has to put
Yeah,
in
yeah. I'm gonna just tell him real quick to follow us, and then hold on. Let me just see if I can get him on.
Okay, I gotta go because I'm talking to this.
Okay, got it. All right.
Okay, bye.
Your call has been forwarded.
Okay, if I can't get him, we'll just do something really, really quick. It's called Off the Grid.
Yeah. Let's not even worry him, Chris. Let's just go do our thing.
You want to just do it? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm Greg. Okay, Sabrina. So look for.
He said we're live having this conversation. Okay.